with regards to how clean tech entrepreneurs can, make efforts towards emission reduction, even in their own processes or their business endeavors. I'd ask John to just share. I am privy to know some of the things that Construct does, or I like John to share what they do, because he's a founder, he's the CEO of Construct, and just speak to what they do currently and how other clean tech entrepreneurs on the call can, make efforts towards emission reduction in their own way and probably work towards, being able to participate in the carbon market.
Yeah, I thank you so much. I think in Africa, specifically Nigeria, we're in a very serious, dire situation because, first of all, we're largely, undereducated, and that means we're also largely a poor country. I dare say that, those of us on this call are probably in the 1% of the country. And so I think largely a lot of our solutions have to think about the common man and how they interact with the environment and what their processes sort of bring to the space. And so I go back to what we believe at Construct, which is that education is the first way, getting people to even understand the effects, of their activities. A lot of people see, climate change as a big man problem because they see their hunger closer, they see their transportation issues closer, but they don't realize that climate change is now closer than it has ever been. Myself and my co-founder would typically travel to Nairobi, on business, and we stayed in a space. The first time I was there, I was shocked to see that they didn't have air conditioning. Right, it was strange just coming from Nigeria, where air conditioning is a big deal to us, and part of the reason is because of the kind of weather that they have. But fast forward a few months later, we're in the same space, and it was different. There was no air conditioning now, and it was really hot. So the truth is, the effects of climate change are here. It's no longer a big man problem or a future problem, yet we still have a majority of people who are poor and undereducated. So I would always defer, and everything else is great, but I would also always defer to starting with education. And in terms of what the government can do, I mean, we see how, governments are able to use all their media handles, all the TV stations, all the local stations that the common man, sort of is on in times of election. So think about using that for bringing education as to what the effects of our day-to-day practices are. I think the first thing is getting people to be aware, right? To even understand. Let me use myself. Three years ago or so, I had just started Construct, and I was invited to talk about, what we were doing at Construct. At the time, we had no view on sustainability at all. And I remember being asked a question about sustainability, and even I myself didn't know zip about sustainability at the time. As a matter of fact, when the question came, I thought she was talking about succession. So I started talking about succession. And it took the look in the lady's face to know that I was off topic, right? And I have one principle where I say, I should always just not know something once. So that means the fact that I didn't know about this thing, let me go and sort of study about it. And that's how I found out, for example, that the industry I've been playing in construction today is sort of recorded to contribute about 40% of carbon emission in our country, right? I mean, depending on where you're looking, some people say 35, some people say 45, but that range. That means that I was actively involved in the problem, right? And that's how the solution that we sort of thought of came about. So my point is, driving education, getting people to even understand the problem, the impacts, would now get us thinking in the right direction. Part of the reason why policies will not be implemented is because people don't even understand the value of the policy. Now, if I knew how that policy affected me directly, then I'm more likely or inclined to align with the policy. But if I felt like the government is just coming, they went to San Francisco, they took one policy that is there, they brought it to Lagos Island, and you drop it here. And the guy in Lagos Island is saying, me, I don't know what people are saying. I need to, you know what I mean? So that education, I think, is key. And because you asked what we're doing at Construct, what we decided to do is, because we have a material marketplace where construction players are able to buy, construction materials and have safe transactions. We're currently undergoing a research to be able to show them what their carbon emission is for every material they buy, for every block that they lay. And it's tricky. Why is it tricky? Africa is largely underdeveloped as well, so we have to build our country. Nigeria is recorded to have about a 17 million housing deficit. Yet, for every cement, every block that we lay, we're destroying the environment. So should we not build our country, or should we destroy the environment because we have to build it, right? So we're in a catch-22 situation, of sorts. So for us, what we decided to do is we've decided, you know what? Let's start with education. Let's begin to show people that for every bag of cement you buy, for every truck that is moving your goods, from one location to the other, this is the carbon emission, this is the amount of damage that you are doing to the environment, right? So that at least, first of all, you are aware. Now, should you want to be responsible, like we've said on this call today, a lot of this is very voluntary, right? Should you decide, you know what, I want to be responsible and I want to do the right thing, we're also looking to partner with carbon credit companies who are able to help with offsetting, right? And we believe that if we tackle construction, right, and we're able to succeed with construction, we would have done something, valuable, for the space. And so that's how we look at it, starting first from putting out this education. When people come to our platform to check for prices, they're able to see basic information about their carbon emission and the effect of their activities on the environment. Then you're now nudged to say, you know what, take a step further by offsetting this. Over time, we hope that governments would also see these kind of initiatives. I think typically Nigeria's development has been led by the private sector. The government sort of jumps on it at some point. The startup bill is an example. Startups started to thrive, and at some point they jump on it. So for us, since that's what sort of works here, let's start, right? And we've started engaging stakeholders to now get support from the government to sort of help us push this initiative out there so that we can do it in our own little corners. And I think that the other thing is, a lot of times when we talk about carbon emission and things like this, it all sounds too academic. That's the truth. At least for that other 90-something% that I'm sort of advocating for, right? But so we need to sort of look for ways to distill it. I like what you did today where you said, your colleague did, where she said, show us something green in your space, right? And all of a sudden I'm thinking, what's green in my space? I don't know. I Googled what can be green, in a living home. These are basic things that we want to start telling the common man. That plant a small tree, it is green. I mean, when I saw Peter Bass's space with all the trees, I just thought, I'm planting a tree today. We need to all sort of distill it to bite-sized information that the common man can understand and can do better. If myself and my wife are driving 2 cars to church, I'm born. How about we say, you know what? We will meet halfway. I like first service, you like second service. Let's meet halfway. Let's drive 1 car. Those are simple, things that we can understand and sort of execute immediately. I've taught my children now that when you're brushing your teeth, you don't need to keep the water running because I now know better. Once upon a time, it was okay, leave the water running, you're brushing, it's just running. Now I see how they brush a little bit, turn on the tap, shut it, just introducing healthy practices that help us, especially understanding, like Rotimi said, that there's a lot of emission that we can't even track, our generators, for example, right? So I think few of us should also focus on the micro, little day-to-day activities that can help us do better in this space. And over time, sort of, drive the government to put some support behind us, to even scale it, further. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The truth is, indeed, like the awareness level is very, very low. And as I said at the beginning of this call, a lot of entrepreneurs are on this call. They've heard so much about carbon credits, carbon markets, but they can't even articulate exactly what it is. And it's good that we're having this kind of engagement to enlighten more people, to break it down in bite sizes so that they can be able to understand it and see how they can leverage it to grow their respective businesses.